there wasn't a lot of football provision for young people within the local community. I decided that we were going to put a team together and try and give kids extra hours in sport, because we find sport is a brilliant way of getting kids to take part in everyday living. I've run a number of community days over in May where we identify local talent to play a semi-pro team at the club. We also have up to 32 different junior football teams, whether it be from primary school or semi-pro football clubs, who get an opportunity to play prior to the main event, which is a Manningham All-Stars, against quite a number of semi-pro clubs. We've played the likes of Thackley, Park Avenue, Bradford Boys, so yeah.
Albion Sports set up in 1974, mainly predominantly as an Asian club in the local leagues, and from 1974 they played in the Sunday leagues, and over the years they've progressed, and the last 5 years they've gone into the Saturday semi-professional system, and at the moment this is our second year in the semi-pro. But for this club to really push on, we need our own ground with our own facilities, because we'd like to introduce a good reserve team, a good academy side. We've already got a good youth setup, but for the club to take the next step, we need our own permanent base. We've actually got one lad here now who's just got a 1-year contract with Swindon Town, a lad called Caden Jackson. He was on Sky Sports last night and he's won a 1-year contract. Lots of players from our youth setup have gone on to professional clubs at the age of 10, 11, 12, and sometimes if you've got a good youth setup, you lose your better players because the local professional clubs will come and take them up.
I actually came here in 1973 when racism was rife, and we couldn't go far to play football from where I used to live. I used to live in the heart of Brick Lane, and I remember we were taken by a youth worker to play at Victoria Park. And we played a white team, and after the game they decided to play another game which is called Packy Bashing, and they started on us, and the youth worker who took us there was a lady, and all she could do was hold the post and cry because she tried to stop them having a go at us, and she couldn't. They chased us around the field. The first team I am aware of was named Myrtle Street. That used to be based at Whitechapel Centre in near Commercial Road. And they were the first Bangladeshi team to play in a Sunday league. So playing football, working and also going to school, we had to combine the three and we have to divide our time. But we were very passionate in football, that's why we kept the football alive. There was a tour in Bangladesh, and I wasn't part of that tour. And the different members from different teams participated in that tour. And while they were touring, they said, well, hold on, let's create a team. And they started a team called Sporting Bengal.
Sporting started in 1996, and as I said, the best players amongst the community were picked to play for this team. So that's how Sporting Bengal got formed. So shortly after Sporting Bengal got formed, obviously there was a need to kind of run the team. So then the idea of Bangladesh Football Association came about, and hence, after 6 months, Bangladesh Football Association was created in the same year.
The idea was to try and promote Bangladeshi players into mainstream football, and also to encourage Bangladeshi football to basically win, because I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what level you're playing at, achievement is very important. And we were playing in the Asian League, and unfortunately, although we had different teams playing in the Asian League, but none of the Bangladeshi teams actually won anything for a few years. So I came up with the idea, why don't we bring all the best players together and form one team and represent the Bangladeshi community in the Asian League and see if we can win it. And alhamdulillah, we did. We won the league, we won the double.
There was quite a few. I mean, when I became chair, we only had about 12 teams in the league. We're just a voluntary organisation, and we're playing in Asian Football League. And then within the 10 years, I think, you know, we became a registered charity. We went up the football pyramid system into semi-pro football. We became a more structured organisation. Adult membership clubs increased to about 40 clubs, and we started setting up the youth league. So I think, yeah, during that time there was quite a few achievements.
That's how Bangladesh Football Association came about. Wow. And this is how Sporting Bengal was born. And now Sporting Bengal is playing in the senior league.
My name is Shahid Ahmed, and I signed up for Wimbledon at the age of 13 on a youth scholarship, and I signed up full form apprenticeship forms when I was 16. I was there till I was 18. I signed for Wycombe Wanderers at 18 on a professional contract, 1-year contract till I was 19. My parents sort of saw me, and I was playing against older boys, and I was able to deal with that. And they saw some sort of potential, and then they took me to join a local Sunday team club. And I've just been playing since then, and then fortunately got scouted at the age of 13, 14. I went to Wimbledon. I was there for a couple of years, and I signed a professional contract at Wycombe when I was about 18.
Went with my dad to just a local club, to be honest. It was with us like after school club really in Erdington, and one of the coaches there just asked me, do you want to go to some community program that West Brom are running? So I was like, yeah, let's go for it. So I went there, playing with lads that were 13, 14 years old, and I was only 6'7", and must have impressed the guy that was working there. And he goes, come to Albion really, come to West Brom, and see how you like it at the club. We like training with the other lads and so forth. And I was like, so let's go for it. And then came, played a game, and started from there really. That's when the journey started.
Originally, my parents are from Pakistan. I was born in Pakistan. Came over here when I was 2 months old and lived here all my life. So brought up in Rochdale in the northwest, and so quite close to Manchester. But you either support Manchester United or Liverpool, as most of my friends did.
Rain is in a bad way. That was a collision with Kagawa, the goalkeeper. Peperina does not look in a good way, I have to say.
I've always enjoyed football, so as with most of my friends at school, primary school, we used to be playing come rain or shine. But in terms of actually supporting a team, it's probably not till 1986 that I first started properly following Liverpool Football Club. From the age of 6, to be honest, I've always wanted to be either a doctor or an engineer. That's what both my parents wanted me to be. Fortunately, not a chartered accountant. But I used to love my sport, so I used to be a bit of a sport billy at school, play football, cricket, every available opportunity after school, during the weekend. So I love my sport. I think everybody dreamed of being either a footballer or a cricketer, but my parents always made it quite clear that education was a route to follow. I'd always dream of being a doctor first and foremost. That was due to my sister being ill. And so that was my real inspiration in becoming a doctor. So once I'd qualified, I was very happy. I thought I'd achieved my goal. And then once I started doing the different specialities, I was a little bit interested in orthopedics. I was very good with my hands. Also liked the thought of neurosurgery as well. And then it wasn't until I had my own football injury. I damaged my cruciate ligament in my right knee, and then went through the NHS to try and get that repaired. And unfortunately, the care that I received was quite poor. So what I did was I did some further studying and thought I could maybe make a career of it. And that's why I initially got into sports medicine. Then I started setting up a few sports medicine clinics in the NHS, started working with some lower league, non-professional football clubs, and then eventually just worked my way up the ladder. As with any profession, you've really got to put the effort in and put the hard work in. I have lots of people who come to me and say, you know, you're in a fantastic position, you know, could they come and do some work experience with me, which is fine, but what they've got to understand, your real knowledge and learning starts at the grassroots level. So working at non-league clubs, I used to do lots of voluntary work, working at the non-league clubs. I used to, any opportunity that I got, I would take it, and then slowly working my way up. So a lot of hard work, a lot of unrecognised work, but eventually all paid off.
His right hand's up underneath his left knee. I'm not sure if it's his knee or his ankle or what he's done, but he certainly looks in a little bit of pain. Ceramics having a word with James Gallagher.
Yeah, well, the league started February 2012, was when we did our first season. And the reason why I started the league initially was for two main reasons. I've got a massive passion for football, been playing it for a long time, and while I was recovering from an injury, a football injury, you know, I developed it. I've been organising football between my friends for a long time, and it was just the next logical step whilst I had some time to sit down and think about it. The other main reason was I do a lot of charity work, and I saw it as a big opportunity to make some money for charity, really, and we donate all our profits to charity even now. I'm from Manchester, obviously, and I play a lot of football. And when you're Asian like myself, South Asian, then a lot of your friends are South Asian. So initially when I was setting up, I got friends of mine who I knew played football, predominantly South Asian lads from the Bangladeshi community, Pakistani community, Indian community, and they brought their friends, and the league just grew from there, really. So initially the league was predominantly Arab and South Asian, but it's progressed fantastically from there, really. There's no intention of making it an exclusive league for South Asians, and we're at a point now where we've got, you know, probably every type of ethnic minority playing, really. I think generally, kind of people from our part of the world, we're sports fanatics. If you just look at the cricket, you know how it goes there. My dad is a very big cricket fan, and he did get into his football because that was the sport of the city here, really, the country here. He started working actually in a factory initially, and he's built his own business from there, mainly with you know, fashion and manufacturing, that kind of thing. Well, a year has gone now, and we've gone from 8 teams to season 2 having 12 teams, to then to last season having 20 teams, to now having a 16-team waiting list. So really we've got 36 teams, really. Whilst I was off injured as well, I set up my own charity because I wanted to target people where I felt money should be directed. And that was really looking to help children and young adults, particularly you know, giving them a sporting chance, really. So that's with sports, you know, health, academic, whatever it may well be. So that's where the money is going to. National Zakat Foundation have become a partner of ours because they like the work that we're doing. The aim of our charity basically was to focus our resources locally, so within Manchester. So we donate a proportion of whatever we make. So all the profits are donated to charity. A proportion of that is donated locally, so to the local schools, local children, local initiatives.
We've been playing football ever since we were kids, and that's, you know, stayed with us throughout education, university, professional careers. And yeah, I've definitely enjoyed it. It's been a chance to meet up with a lot of people who we used to play with when we were younger, and we've all drifted off, done different things, and now the football's brought us back together. So, you know, no matter where we are, we've made new friends, they've all brought teams, and it's a really good family spirit to it. You know, we encourage youngsters to join. A lot of the teams in Division 2 are primarily youngsters, but yeah, at the moment there is a Pro 16 policy, but I don't see why it couldn't be extended. You know, it's early stages at the moment. This is only the 3rd season that we've had, so there are opportunities to develop it. Primarily, funds coming into the charity are from the football, from Ultimate League. So we've had 3 seasons. We've generated close to £10,000. The charity has a committee of trustees, and they are designated with the task of deciding how much of the money to spend locally and how much to send overseas. And that, you know, those projects will vary year on year, and we are looking to increase funding by getting sponsorship and increasing the size of the league as well. People refer to the term grassroots, but you know, as you can see around me, there's a lot of 3G artificial turf, a lot of AstroTurf. You know, I think there is a gap in the market really for leagues on 3G and AstroTurf, and I think that's something that we've recognised, that, you know, we've grown up not so much playing on grassroots, even though we do play Sunday League every now and again, but actually a lot of our football is now played on 3G, so I think that's definitely been the biggest change since I've been playing.
The first South Asian player, Pakistani or Indian player that makes it to the Premiership, the first star is going to make an incredible amount of money for himself and for the club he plays for because of the popularity. We can see that with Amir Khan, for instance, in boxing. So there's, you know, financially clubs would love for that to happen. Why is it not happening? I think there's maybe an attitudinal problem. I don't know. Maybe there's a few different things. Certainly loads of clubs are working hard within the communities to try and make that happen, but it's not come to pass as yet. One thing I'd probably say is that perhaps the attitude to football and footballers in this country over the last 10 to 15, 20 years, maybe further than that, has been to look for supreme athletes, has been to look for certain types of footballers. And I think that's changing now. I think different European countries, for instance Spain, have shown that smaller players can actually benefit and contribute a lot in terms of technique, in terms of ability, in terms of their comfort with the ball. Something that we're not really producing in this country as much as we are as much as, say, for instance, in France or Belgium or Spain. We need one to go through the wall first. Whoever goes through the wall first will make it easier for the rest of them. A South Asian player would be really interesting simply for that reason, because there isn't one that has actually gone through and really, you know, been a regular player, you know, a sort of star, if you like, in the Premiership. So that would be fantastic, and I'd love to see it personally.
It's Parkinson Lane Community Primary School, based in Halifax, 531 children. Very sporty school. In fact, we embrace all aspects of the curriculum. Ofsted, outstanding in every category. Got to the Yorkshire finals for cricket. We're playing the national finals next Friday. We're in the Yorkshire finals last week for rugby as well. And in terms of football, last year we won the Bradford Cup. You know, we have the sporting talent within the South Asian communities, and what we need to do is really encourage the parents to sort of indulge in that a little bit. And you know, it's about carrying and fetching and being the taxi for a few years, isn't it? You know, and making sure children enjoy that. We've got 400 odd supporters that have come here, and what's really nice about that is that we've got families. You know, mums and dads have come to support, and I think that's really, really unusual. So we're out enjoying the good weather and a bit of sport as well.
You know, start kicking the ball around, you know, like I did, 4, 5 and 6 with their local friends and whatever, and you know, try and get associated with a local club, probably a local club that reflects, you know, the different communities as opposed to, let's say, a specific Asian club or a Black Caribbean, because then you tend to get playing and kicking the ball around with your own friends and local groups, and then I think the actual switch into, you know, professional football at 9-10 becomes harder. So if you can get into a really multicultural group as a club early on, start kicking around, understand and really feed off other youngsters. I mean, it's a big challenge for us now to get your old sort of generation of English weight youngsters to play and develop technically, because they've got all the distractions of their computer games, the TV channels and whatever. So we're trying to say to them, you can't just snap your fingers and get that skill. You've got to sacrifice a few things and practice. So it's really trying to get that sort of culture. It's interesting, when I was doing quite a bit of grassroots with the FA, and you speak to a lot of the families are quite conscious of the academic side in the Asian community, want their youngsters to, you know, really, you know, get good qualifications or whatever, which I understand. But I would say to any of them, because I was at an old grammar school, you can get good academic qualifications and you can still be really top quality at sport. The balance between the two, the practice, going out and playing and I practiced a lot, and then when I went to do my schoolwork, it actually helped because, you know, I enjoyed that. Then I had a little break, did my academic side, and then went into playing. In fact, when I joined West Ham, I did a 2-year apprentice instead of 3, took a day release, went to college, didn't affect my development on the football side, and so again, I understand the importance of the academic side and want to make sure that they've got those qualifications to get an opportunity outside football. But you can do both in this day and age, and I think that's important to try and sow those seeds early on, because you've got to be willing to get that balance for really 8, 9, 10, because now clubs are going into something they call the elite player performance plan, where all the academies are going to be categorised 1, 2, 3 and 4. Well, the 1s and 2s, they're going to expect you to do the balance between education and your practice. At present, I don't think the 16-year-old youngster in this country, whatever their community group, are good enough to break into the first team at professional clubs at 18, 19, 20. And that's reflected because at the moment, we're not getting youngsters. I mean, the Premier League at the end of this season just gone was 31%. And if you watched all the transfer market this summer, it's nearly all non-English. So it's going to be 20-something, high 20s next year. And if you're the England senior coach, you need it up to 40-odd%, 50-odd% playing first team football. So your depth of choice of talent is a lot better. In Spain, it's 70-odd%. I think the coaches get so intense, want to keep winning leagues and matches and shouting and hollering. The youngsters then, get a fear factor, and the creativity and the skill factor goes out of the game. So 12 to 16 is really important. If you're at a club where the coach is shouting and hollering on the line and not playing out through the 3/3, look for another club. Because for me, you're wasting the youngster's opportunity. The youngster wants to play the game as they're playing on their computer games, to be honest, and how the game's going to be played. And it is through the 3/3. So there's no point in some selfish individual who's coaching the team shouting and hollering and launch the ball long to win a league, because he's doing a disservice to the youngsters that he's trying to develop. So that's going to be the message in the next 5 years. Can we change the culture of coaching? And that's why I think all the volunteers and that working in the Asian community, if you get your youth modules, understand what we're trying to do, and then I think you've got a fantastic platform to develop some young talent, but skill, creativity, can you get past people? They're going to be the sort of emphasis of our strategy. And if you're going to be good enough to get into a professional club and play professional football, that's really the core skills that you're going to need. So if we can get that message to the volunteer and then get the youngsters coming through, they'll get on the merit, because it's not about community groups. Funnily enough, but everyone said a few years with all those sensitivities about equity and so forth. I can assure you, the clubs are desperate for talent, and if you're good enough, you will get in. So it's not a case of because of this or that or where you come from. It is, are you good enough? At the moment, we're short of talent. We're short of talent in our English development teams. So please help us out and bring some youngsters through. From a marketing point of view, to have a couple of Asian players when you've got such a big Asian community, and that would obviously attract a lot more fans in, because it's like where you go, you see, the big sides are abroad pre-season, and you see where they come and want to see those big players. So if you can get a couple of the Asian players who are getting into first team opportunities, I think the biggest challenge I always used to say a few years ago is that your community, if you came from Asia, let's say in Pakistan, if you look at during my generation, the Asian teams weren't prominent in the competition. So it's unfair to say, oh, the communities aren't producing players, because the best opportunity is where you've got a youngster who's born here, has come through the system, and where hopefully they start to kick a ball around, because that's the culture of England, from really, as young as you want to be, really, 5, 6, 7. Because that's the age you've really got to develop those local skills, and that's when, even, believe it or not, now the professional clubs have started to pick up talent. So if you can get into the system, the academy system, really early, it will make a big difference.
You come up against many challenges as you're growing up in football, and I think you need to really believe that you can achieve. You really need to be disciplined, and you need to keep your focus on what you want to achieve. And last but not least, as everyone says, cliches, is enjoyment. You have to enjoy it. If you're not, the minute you stop enjoying it, it's the wrong thing for you. You need to love being under that pressure, playing against people that could be better than you, and really pushing yourself to become better.
The conversation in the changing room afterwards and in the club is always, why isn't this guy a pro? Why isn't this guy a pro? And it always comes down to one or two, three things: bad luck, the so-called, race card, gets bandied about by some people, and there could be an element of truth in that, perhaps. And there's lots of different reasons that I put forward, but I personally would love to see a South Asian player in the Premiership.
I think we've a long way to go. I think we've got to embrace the sporting life of an individual. And I think what we've got to do is we've got to educate our children well, but we've got to play hard as well. And one of our mottos at school is play hard but work harder.
Wherever you go to any five-a-side, pitches or anywhere, you'll see lots and lots of Asians playing football, to the point where I think, you know, what's going on? Why aren't these guys playing in a more sort of, you know, organised league or league football? Because I've played league football, so, you know, I think why aren't they playing that? What's inhibiting them? What's stopping them? Why aren't they breaking through? What's going on? So I've always asked those questions, but as far as their legacy goes, yeah, it's there for everyone to see. You see them, the fans, and in the wider game, like I said before, we just need one to break through and you know, make it, and then I think the floodgates will kind of open.
In terms of legacy in the UK by South Asian communities, I'm not sure yet. I don't think we've actually achieved what we can really achieve as a community. But I think in terms of legacy in community-based, grassroots, I think we're doing absolutely fantastic. You know, for example, you know, the BFA is one example, but there are so many other organisations around the UK that have done so much in the local community to leave a legacy in terms of Asian footballers and promoting Asian football and so on.
I think definitely at grassroots level we do have a legacy. You know, it's not really translated to the very top level of the game as of yet, and I think there's a lot of people and a lot of drive to try and get a South Asian footballer really, you know, representing in the Premier League, which is our main league here. But I think at grassroots level, I can only speak for where I played football. There's a big representation of South Asian footballers and a lot of talent which hasn't really been tapped into, I feel.
The best is yet to come. I think there is a legacy in the game. I think at the moment it's very, very early days. You know, there's a lot of impact that South Asian players can make, and I don't think that that's been fully reflected at the moment. But hopefully, you know, organisations like this, the Ultimate League, getting people out there in front of people, you know, highlighting the skills that are out there is a good start.
I think the key is hard work. Whichever field you go into in football, and having worked in football now for over 8 years, I've realised there are various opportunities you can have, not just playing football. And I was fortunate to be able to marry my love of football with my other passion of medicine. I work quite closely with Zesh Rehman and his foundation, and they've certainly got programs together to try and help others who are trying to get into the field of football, but not just playing football. So certainly in terms of coaching, and even working behind the scenes in the medical field, so whether it be a doctor, physiotherapist, sports science, I think there's plenty of opportunities for people to work in football.
If you think about the sort of legacy widening or becoming sort of more apparent, you only have to look at organisations like the Ultimate League, who are a charitable organisation, who are looking at putting on football for anyone in the community that wants to get involved.
They have to have a legacy. There's been many years, many decades before me that are people that have tried their hardest to get away in the game, to be honest. So I think for me now it's just to carry on the torch, to make everybody happy, make the older generation happy, and then push up the younger generation as well.
They've definitely got a legacy. They've now got to capitalise on it. I think we've probably come through a generation where there are a lot of challenges from the playing point of view, coaching. You know, they'll get those issues on funding, access, all the different things are involved with volunteering, funding, costs. So I think we've got through that. The real legacy is, can this second wave generation of young players, young coaches, can they capitalise what opportunity is now there? Because I think there's a lot more doors that are open, and I can assure you, all clubs at the elite end, and hopefully, you know, grassroots or whatever, everyone is looking for a bit of quality, whether it is a player or a coach. So we'd love you in our next 5-year strategy, because then that's where we think we should be measured. Can you deliver for us?
Boom, you stood there. That's one of our boys from the hood who's playing football.